Mute him. Good evening. I'm going to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Elmhurst Zoning and Planning Commission. And according to guidelines given to us by the Attorney General, I'm first going to verify that everyone can hear through the virtual environment. So let me ask, Emily is downstairs with the applicant. Let me ask, can the applicant hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent.
Great.
Commissioner Snyder, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Commissioner Uditsky, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Burns, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to mute after you've spoken. Thank you. Going to ask the court reporter, can you hear me? Hello, the court reporter, Kiki Andropoulos, can you hear me? She's not responding. Hello, let's try it once again. The court reporter, can you hear me? Please respond. We'll come back to you. Commissioner Callaway, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Excellent. Commissioner Hoffman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Commissioner Pittman, can you hear me?
Can.
I'm going to ask Assistant City Manager Mike Kopp, who is in the public comment room. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Commissioner McCoy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. The only one we have yet, okay, to determine is the court reporter. Can you hear me? It's a problem if she can't hear. Okay, we are going to wait just a moment. We need to establish a connection with the court reporter. Okay, court reporter, can you hear me? I see you, but can you hear me? Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear.
I can't hear you.
All right, let me beg everyone's patience while we establish this connection.
Everybody else could hear. For some reason, I'm not getting a connection to hear.
Can you hear me yet? Nope.
I can hear you on the phone. I can't hear you. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not here. Can you speak now?
Can you hear me?
Wait a minute. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Now can you speak? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Mr. Cobb?
Yes.
What should I check here? I was. Let's see. You know what I'm gonna do? Should I just sign back in?
The speaker's turned on, correct?
Oh, yeah.
You have, can you unplug your headphones and plug them back in?
Yes, I have it all connected to my court reporting machine like I did last week.
Okay.
You know what? Can I sign off and sign back in and see if it works that way?
Yes.
Or, can you turn off your court reporter machine and turn that back on? 'Cause are you looping the mic through the court reporter machine?
No.
So your headphones are just plugged directly into your laptop, correct?
No, my headphones are plugged into my court reporting machine.
Oh, there you go. There's something, yeah.
But I did it that way last week.
Can you power cycle that? Or is that
You
your
know-
machine's turned on, right?
Right. Let me shut everything down and start it up again on my machine, and then I'll sign on to the WebEx again. Okay, thanks. Sorry. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can you?
Hold on 1 minute. I can't
Yes,
hear
can you hear
again.
me?
Just 1 minute. I'm going to try one more thing.
What do we do if we can't?
Okay, can you say something now?
Can you hear me now?
Still can't hear. Hold on, I'm trying one more thing, I'm sorry. Okay, can you say something?
Can you hear me now? No.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Well, we are checking right now with the assistant city manager to see we are recording everything and whether that will suffice and that we can proceed without the court reporter.
Hey, Chair Rose, what we can do is we can have Kiki, I can just call her number and we can do it through the phone. We want to just do that, Kiki?
That would be great if we could. She can't hear you.
No, I'll call her. I got her phone number right here.
Okay, can you
Okay.
say something again, Chair Rose?
Can you hear me? No. Mike Kopp is going to call you. Why am I talking? You can't hear me.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Thank God, yes.
All righty. I've never been so happy to have someone hear me. Okay.
I'm sweating that out. I'm so sorry.
All right. All's well that ends well. That's fine. I'm going to, please mute your microphone
Thank you.
and public comment. Mike, can you mute your microphone in there? All right. So I went through all the commissioners. Everyone could hear me. So I'm going to ask City Planner Eileen Franz to please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Thank you. And I can hear the connection as well. Commissioner Burns,
Here.
Commissioner Callaway,
Here.
Commissioner Garland is absent. Commissioner Hoffman,
Here.
Commissioner McCoy,
Here.
Commissioner Pittman,
Here.
Commissioner Snyder,
Here.
Commissioner Uditsky,
Here.
Chair Rose.
Here. We have a quorum, and thank you all for your patience. So if the next time we do this, we will test all equipment at 6:45 and make sure it's all running so we don't have to do this again. So, okay, I'm going to ask first, I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was June 16th.
So moved.
Who was that? That was
Carol Snyder.
Commissioner Snyder. Thank you. Second,
Second.
Commissioner Pittman. Thank you very much. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes? No? Hearing none, I will ask City Planner Eileen Franz to please call the roll. All of our votes in this electronic format are all roll call. So I will ask you to call the roll, please, to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Callaway,
Yes.
Commissioner Garland is absent. Commissioner Hoffman,
Yes.
Commissioner McCoy,
Yes.
Commissioner Uditsky,
Yes.
Chair Rose.
Yes, thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time when anyone from the public can make any comment they want about hopefully a matter of zoning. They're allowed 3 minutes to do that, but I want to make sure everyone is aware. Any public comment that is made this evening is not a part of a public record. If you wish to speak about any of the cases, I would suggest that you wait until the time of public comment on a specific case. So let me start and ask Assistant City Manager Kopp, is there anyone, first of all, in the public comment room who wishes to make a public comment?
There's nobody present.
Thank you. Let me ask City Planner Eileen Franz whether you've received any general comments for public comment for this meeting that are not related to a case.
We did not.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close that section of the agenda. Our next item of business, if you remember from last week, we were in the middle of a public hearing for the PUD for McMaster Carr. The case number, let me read it again, case number 20P10, which is McMaster Carr conditional use permit and conditional use permit for planned development at 600 County Line Road. So we are first going to continue the public hearing on this case. We did have public comment on that. I'm going to ask City Planner Franz, did we receive any other written comments for the public record on this case?
We received one email late this afternoon that was posted on board docs. Other than that, we did not receive any additional comments or information.
Okay, and I believe an email was sent to every commissioner to advise them that there was an email posted on board docs. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, we will move forward then. Let me ask if the applicant, they did hear some of the public comment last time, if they have anything they want to add to the record in relation to their application.
Chair Rose, nothing additional from the applicants.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll close the public hearing. I think that is our next step, is that we will close this public hearing. It is my intention that we move straight into deliberation on this particular case, unless there is any objection from any commissioner who believes they don't have enough information or has further questions. So let me ask if there is any objection to moving into deliberation at this time.
Chair Rose, just one comment. If we could just wait about 30 seconds or so since we closed it in case someone is watching YouTube live. It's my understanding the delay is only about 10 seconds, but just to make sure we don't receive any emails or anything.
Okay, we can entertain ourselves for the next 30 seconds, and then we will proceed to deliberation. All right, so we'll need a motion first for the conditional use. Okay. We're done. We're ready. Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move into deliberation right now. We received no phone calls, no emails. So what we will need is a motion from a commissioner to approve conditional use leading to the planned development for the addition of a building at the McMaster Carr site.
So moved.
That was Commissioner Burns. And is there a second?
Second.
Please, that was Commissioner Pittman. All right, thank you very much. Commissioner Burns, let me ask you to please lead the discussion on this case.
Thank you. So the first part before we go into plan development is the consideration of the standards for a conditional use. In this case, the conditional use is to increase the maximum building height from 45 feet to 66 feet. Therefore, in my consideration of these standards, it is not whether they're building an addition per se, but simply whether the addition is 45 feet or 66 feet. So for the first standard, that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the conditional use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. The use is within the I-1 zoning district's range of permitted uses. That is the warehousing use per se. I don't find that the increase of 21 feet of height would change the effect of the warehouse use on public health, safety, morals, etc. So I believe they've met that first standard. The second standard, conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the neighborhood. So we've received two inputs from two different citizens of Elmhurst. One is a property owner on Adele, who testified last week that she was worried about the impact on property value since they'd moved there many years ago, expecting to have no substantial neighboring uses to the east. And then the email from Laura De Laurentiis that came in this afternoon listed 8 items, some of which really, I guess McMaster Carr would address. But I'll go through them quickly since they deserve to be answered. So the first was whether the 200 or so additional employees that the emailer understood would be added by the addition would be cutting through their neighborhood or impacting their neighborhood by using the frontage road going over to Emroy. And I can say that I have some sympathy for that. We live on Stratford Avenue, just east of Butterfield Park, and there's a lot of cut-through traffic for southbound York. They turn east on Madison, go over to Stratford, south on Stratford to Butterfield, thus avoiding the traffic single intersection at York and Butterfield. If we lived over on Linden, Poplar, one of those other interior streets where people don't cut through, we probably have less traffic. On the other hand, the frontage road itself and Emroy from the frontage road to North Avenue are really not residential side streets, they're connectors. The other issue that's going to be looming is that the tollway is going to be adding a southbound exit ramp onto County Line Road. And that traffic is going to go south on County Line Road to frontage road and then disperse itself either east to Northwest Avenue and then to North Avenue or west to Emroy and then down to North Avenue. And that will probably engender far more traffic than the 200 employees here. So as a matter of the weight of this additional employment, I think probably pales in terms of what's happening with the tollway, the new ramp. And apart from that, the employees have a right to use the public rights of way. What it may be inconvenient for the local residents who want to drive out onto the frontage road and go over to Emroy themselves, but I don't really see any legal solution to that. Other commissioners might have a different feeling on that. The second item is how Elmhurst would address it, and I think if there's any answer, the city staff can provide that. The third item in that email had to do with whether there'd be a fence anymore between Adele and County Line Road. And the only fence I'm aware of is between the pet cemetery, the west line of the pet cemetery, and Adele. And that's a cemetery issue. The pet cemetery is accessible from the south through the cemetery. So the cemetery could just close that fence off, close that gate and keep it closed. It's not really within the control of McMaster Carr. They mentioned additional wildlife might be coming over toward Adele. The area that's going to be improved with the addition is now a parking lot, and it's not inhabited by wildlife. So I'm not sure where the wildlife would be coming from. The fourth item had to do with lighting. The McMaster car expert testified last week that all of the lighting would be down lighting, meaning it would be shining downwards and not dispersing off the site, and that otherwise the lighting would comply with the city standards, which also don't want light escaping the site. The fifth item, whether trucks that will be parked on the west side of the addition could be put up on the north side. That would be something McMaster Carr really needs to answer. I do believe that when Diamond Expedited the building was still there were trucks over there driving around. And also there's trailer parking to the south of the former Diamond Expedited site that's going to be removed. So actually the truck traffic is going to be farther away from Adele than it is now. Item 6, I have to go back and see what that was. You just bear with me for a second. Item 6, hours of construction activity. The applicant said they had Pepper Construction who was going to work within the city guidelines. So I expect they have to be satisfied. Item 7, should residents expect to see more of these tall buildings in our city? As a general issue, I don't think that would be the case. This is an industrial building. It's an industrial warehouse. Industrial warehousing more and more is building these high cube warehouse areas. And the industrially zoned areas of the city are pretty distinct. So I don't think this portends 65-foot buildings all over the city. I know it's been an issue down in the city core, but this is far away from that area and really a different thing. Then as far as stormwater, that was the 8th item. I asked the applicant about this last week on June 16th, and their answers were satisfactory. As to whether the additional height of the building is something you see from Adele will be an additional issue. I reference my high school geometry. Okay, if you're standing in front of one of the houses on Adele, it's about 30 feet to the fence, 30 feet to the fence of the pet cemetery on the east side of Adele, and the fence is about 6 feet high. So if you're looking up at that, if you drew a triangle, the angle is about 11 degrees. Now, if you go about 450 feet, which will be the distance to the new west elevation, if I remember McMaster Carr's testimony, about 450 feet from the west side of Adele to the west side of the new addition, and you have 66 feet going up from the ground, that's about an 8.3 degree angle. In other words, the angle from a point on the west side of Adele to the top of the building will be below the top of the fence that's right on Adele. So now if you were on the second floor of a house, you would probably see the top of the building. But we're talking about 23 feet of additional height at a distance of 450 feet. And it's a very tiny part of your view angle from that distance. So the height itself, there doesn't seem to be any evidence in the record that would have an impact on property values. As for the truck traffic and so forth, it's all oriented toward County Line Road. There won't be any trucks on Adele. And I just don't see any other factors that would contribute to substantially diminishing or impairing property values in the neighborhood. So that's number 2. I think they've satisfied that standard. Number 3, the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. This is basically a use that's permitted. It's an I-1. They're not buying any additional land. It's all on their own site. So I feel that they've satisfied that standard. Number 4, adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. And I spoke to that when I was addressing Ms. Ms. De Laurentiis's email. I feel that's satisfied. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. That was addressed last week, and again, I spoke to that somewhat in my addressing of Ms. De Laurentiis's email. I feel that that's satisfied. Number 6, the proposed conditional use is not contrary to the objectives of the current comprehensive plan of the city of Elmhurst. The comprehensive plan sees this as an industrial area, so that the use itself per se is within the prospect of the comprehensive plan. And finally, number 7, the conditional use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it's located, other than as they are modified pursuant to our recommendations. McMaster answered to this that they will conform to the applicable regulations of the I-1 zoning district. And with that assumption in hand, I find that they've satisfied all 7 of the standards for the conditional use.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Pittman?
Thank you, Chair Rose. I'm in agreement with everything that Commissioner Burns stated. I also would like to add that I know that the biggest concerns here are noise and views. And I think those really apply to item number 2. And since our last meeting, I give a lot of thought to, will the property values be impacted? Will the use or the enjoyment of somebody's property be impacted by these changes? And I don't believe that that's going to happen. I think that given the current layout, the noise is going to be pretty similar to what is being experienced now. As far as the views go, I would add that if you look at the houses that are on Adele, they're all either split level ranches with no windows facing towards McMaster Carr. There's only one house that really has a second story with 2 upper windows, but even those windows are slightly lower due to it being a split level. And that property has 2 huge trees on its property, 2 huge trees across the street at the fence line. I really don't think that the views are going to be impacted, especially due to the fact that all those houses are either split levels without windows or ranches. And even if you go back, and that's all the way up to Gladys. And if you go to the street behind that on Emory, those are all ranches. So I really don't believe that, even though we're looking at a substantial height here, that there's going to be views that become disruptive and affect people's values. So those are the only 2 things I'd like to add.
Okay, are there any comments from any other commissioner on this section? Commissioner Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Chair Rose. I would just like to add that after listening to all of the testimony and the presentation and having all the questions answered last week, I really feel McMaster Carr has gone above and beyond in terms of their plan. I thought their plan was very well thought out. I thought they took exceptional consideration for the neighbors. And I really appreciated that they stated they would consider trying to have that berm on the west side installed ahead of the project taking place. So, and there are a number of mature trees that already on the existing berm. And so I just really appreciated McMaster Carr's level of thoughtfulness. And I think this is a terrific plan that will benefit Elmhurst and McMaster Carr, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner wish to make a comment on this section? Okay, seeing none, I want to echo Commissioner Snyder's comments. I also was really impressed with the berm and their willingness to extend that, make it higher, and put in mature trees. A lot of times when you see, oh yeah, we're going to put a berm in, and they'll put little teeny trees, and they'll be 25 years before they're really going to do the purpose that they need to. And I thought their exhibit showing where those trees currently are and how they've grown and what they're going to put in really answered that question. So I would concur with what you are saying as well. I'm going to ask Commissioner Burns now to please go through the standards for the PUD standards, please. The first one was, we just discussed that. So starting with standard 2.
Correct. So there are 10 standards for the planned unit development. Number 1 is the conditional use standards, which we just addressed. Number 2 is city plans. And so this goes beyond the comprehensive plan and goes to any other relevant plans and planning policies. McMaster Carr did look into the comprehensive plan's economic development portion and did see that there was a general narrative about increasing the tax rate base, which obviously the addition of almost 400,000 square feet would have an impact in that regard. And they did explore other relevant plans. They're looking at green improvements. They said they're exploring the installation of solar panels to reduce their energy consumption and carbon emission footprint, and that would be in line with the sustainability portion of the comprehensive plan. So in my opinion, they're taking steps to support what we want in item 2. Item 3, public welfare. This echoes somewhat the conditional use standards. It says the plan development will be so designed, located, and proposed to be operated and maintained that will not impair an adequate light and air supply to adjacent property and not substantially increase the danger of fire. The distance from any neighboring property means that they will not impair any light or air from those distantly proximate properties. And their discussion of what they're doing with the fire loop and how it'll be re-extended and relocated will reduce any increased danger of fire. So I believe they satisfy that standard. Number 4 is the impact on public facilities and resources. The plan development should include such impact contributions to the school district, park district, and or the city as may be reasonably determined by the city council. These required impact contributions shall be calculated in reasonable proportion to the impact of the plan development on public facilities and infrastructure. Frequently, you'll see an actual dollar amount of contribution if there's residences being built that would have an impact, say, on the school district, or there's, I know of some suburbs where there's school donation ordinances, you set aside certain acreage and so forth. In this case, there are no residences being added. McMaster Carr is just expanding their warehouse. And the planned development is not anticipated to increase the number of school children or park users in Elmhurst. It will increase the tax revenue, or it should, and so they will not have any disparate impact on public facilities and resources. Number 5 is archaeological, historical, or cultural impact. They've been using the site for industrial purpose since the early 1970s. The warehouse expansion will be completely on their existing land site. The footprint for the expansion had an old, outdated building, so they'll have more updated, modern use. There is no known or disclosed archaeological, historical, or culturally significant aspects to this site. So from their point of view, they satisfy that standard. Standard 6, parking and traffic. This goes back to the first items in the email that we received today. The standard says that the plan development shall have or make adequate provision to provide access to and circulation through the proposed use by motorized and non-motorized modes of transportation in a manner that considers walking, biking, and public transportation and provides adequate access for emergency vehicles. So they do have bicycle parking for their employees. I suppose it's conceivable that if there are employees in the nearby neighborhoods that they could ride their bikes there, at least in decent weather. They did build an on-site parking deck, and the way markings indicate how to get to that deck in an efficient manner. And all their site access is off of County Line Road. So the parking and traffic seems to have been addressed adequately. Item 7, adequate buffering. The planned development shall have adequate landscaping, public open space, and other buffering features to protect uses within the development and surrounding properties. Most of their buffering, the added buffering, is along the west side with the berm. It's already been built. It already has mature evergreen trees, will be extended to the north as part of the planned development. We'll have new evergreen trees. So when they're mature, the height of these trees will more than adequately screen the property from the residential area to the west. There really is no substantial use to the north or south. The south is a cemetery, to the north is the Maywood Sports Club, to the east is the tollway. So they have adequate buffering. Number 8 is performance. The applicant shall demonstrate to the city reasonable assurance that if authorized, the planned development can be completed according to schedule as designed. And they point out that they partnered with Pepper Construction as the general contractor. I know Pepper Construction is a very well-established general contractor in the Chicago area with a great deal of experience. And based on the McMaster Carr presentations so far, I expect that the construction should also be done very professionally. Number 9 is appearance. The design of all buildings, structures, and facilities on the site of the planned development shall meet the design-related recommendations of relevant city plans, including but not limited to the comprehensive plan and other relevant plans and planning policies of the city. So McMaster Carr has indicated they would build the warehouse expansion with quality materials, durable construction techniques, design elements that complement and enhance their existing warehouse and office facility. So you'd have a harmony of appearance with what's there already. And they cite the completed parking deck and data center additions as examples of that. I believe they would satisfy the appearance standard. And finally, signs. Any proposed sign package shall be consistent with the character of the development and incorporate signage into the development in a way that avoids visual clutter or sign proliferation. They have no changes or additional signage anticipated as part of their planned development other than internal directional traffic control signage. So I believe they satisfy that standard. And in total, I believe they satisfy all of the standards for the conditional use and planned unit development.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Pittman, do you have something you'd like to add?
No, I have nothing additional, just that I also believe they meet all the standards.
Thank you. Is there any other commissioner who would like to address any of these standards? Like to make a comment on any portion of this?
Chair Rose, if I might.
Commissioner Callaway.
I'm just going to speak generally. I think that both Commissioners Pittman and Burns really covered it, but I think a number of the standards, particularly the city plan standard 2, standard 6, parking and traffic, standard 7, adequate buffering, and standard 9, appearance. I think McMaster Carr has always been a very a good neighbor in Elmhurst, and I think they've always been very careful about their space. They have very little signage. If you didn't know it was there, most of the time you'd drive by and not even realize who that is. And I think that they have done a fantastic job specifically on those standards of trying to, with the low slung buildings, and trying to really maintain their more subdued appearance in the community. And they've been a good neighbor, I think, to the surrounding neighborhoods. I think that this plan in particular is really complements what they've previously done. Yes, there they're looking for a building height that is higher than what they currently have. But I think it's certainly consistent with what they've done in the past. And I think, I really think that this plan really addresses those standards that I identified very nicely.
Thank you, Commissioner Callaway. Any other commissioner would like to make any comments around this applicant's case? Hearing none, I actually want to echo some of Commissioner Callaway's comments. I think that the height in particular is not out of proportion with the site. I know there's been a lot of discussion in terms of city plan, the height in downtown area, et cetera. I think I think they've gone to great lengths to make that height fit into the site, buffer it from the neighborhood. And I want to echo Commissioner Callaway's comments that McMaster Carr has always been a good neighbor and has always acted in that way. So I appreciate those. And I think this is also a good plan. So any other comments before Commissioner McCoy?
Okay, I would just like to echo everything that the other commissioners have said. This was probably one of the best prepared presentations I have seen in all the years I've been on the commission. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Any other commissioner? Okay. I will then ask City Planner Franz to call the roll.
Thank you. So just to confirm, Commissioner Burns made the motion for a conditional use for a plan unit development for a building at 66 feet. And Commissioner Pittman seconded the motion. So Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Burns.
Yes.
Commissioner Pittman.
Yes.
Commissioner Callaway.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner McCoy.
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes.
Commissioner Uditsky.
Yes.
Chair Rose.
Yes. Unanimous. Let me ask, Eileen, this case will then go to the Development Planning and Zoning Committee at their next meeting, or no?
I believe it will be at their next meeting, but I will reach out to the applicant tomorrow about that.
Okay, we want to wish the applicant the best. We're excited about this project for the city of Elmhurst. Again, however, this is, as you know, the first in a 3-stage process, and we hope that it really goes well for you at the Development Planning and Zoning Committee and at the City Council level. It's an exciting project. It expands what is a really good business and is, in the end, is going to be good for the city of Elmhurst. So we wish you all the best on this.
Thank you, and we'll see you all soon.
Okay. We are now going to we're now going to move on to our next item of business, which is the case 23P11 Elmhurst College conditional use. I'm going to ask Eileen, will you be introducing this to us?
Yes, I will. Thank you. This is case 20P11. The application was filed May 15th, 2020. It's a request by Michael Emerson, who's the Director of Facilities Management at Elmhurst College, for a conditional use for a plan unit development for an expanded and reconfigured parking lot. The legal notice was published May 28th, 2020. The sign was posted May 29th, 2020. The mailing was done May 29th, 2020. The public hearing was originally scheduled for June 16th, 2020, but continued to this evening, June 23rd, 2020. And I believe they're still getting set up downstairs.
Okay, let's give them a minute. Let me turn this off.
And we will
I'm sorry.
have to have them sworn in when they are set up down there.
Excellent.
No, I've got it on my,
City planner friends, would you like me to also be prepared to pull up the presentation, or did you have any desire to do that?
Yes, if you could do that, and then maybe Chair Rose could share the screen. Thank you.
Okay, I will share the screen now. Let's do that. Okay. You have the con. All right. Are the applicants ready to go?
Yes, they are, and I can pull up their presentation whenever they are ready for that.
Okay, I would like the applicant to please first introduce yourselves, give us an idea about this project, and when you are ready to have your presentation pulled up, please let Emily Egan know that at that time. So please introduce yourselves and the case.
And they can be sworn in whenever the court reporter is ready for that.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the court reporter to please swear in the applicant. All of the, you want them to stand and raise your hand, all of the applicants. How many of them are there?
there are three.
There are three of you? Okay. Can you confirm that everyone is standing and has their right hand raised? Okay. Can you administer the oath? Court reporter, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you give?
So the audio cut out. Could you try that one more time?
Did you cut out?
You
Yes.
cut out. Somebody
Okay.
cut out. Okay. Please do the re-swearing in.
Sure. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that all the testimony you give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emily, can you confirm that they were all sworn in?
Yes, I can confirm all three applicants were sworn in.
Okay, so let's let the applicants introduce themselves and their case.
Okay.
Perfect. Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. My name is Mike Emerson. I'm the Executive Director of Facilities Management at Elmhurst College until the few short days that it becomes Elmhurst University. We are here this evening to present to you the expansion and consolidation of an existing parking lot that would basically build over a former public way, which was Walter Street. And once we pull up the, what are you looking for? Oh, got it. Perfect. The parking lot in question, and we'll pull up our PowerPoint here. Oh, brilliant. So we'll load that in. Okay. We're going to load up our almost. I had it, but I clicked it too fast. Yeah, will you? Just pull it up there. Brilliant. We can share the screen. Yeah, what do I need to share? Because I'll just put it on the run, but then.
We can do. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Perfect. With me this evening is Kurt Ashley, the Vice President of Information Technology and Operations at the college, as well as Brian Luke, who is a civil engineer with Christopher Burke, who did the engineering as well as they also had performed previously a stormwater master plan for the campus. Essentially what we're looking at, and the reason that we want to do this project is we are in a very fortunate situation in that we have a lot of students that want to park on our campus. And it's a very good problem to have, particularly in this day and age. And so any way that we can, we're looking to provide some additional parking spaces. Not a lot. I mean, really what we're looking for is in the realm of about 100 additional spaces that would actually help us to keep our students from driving in circles around the parking lot looking for places to park. We could actually get them into parking spaces and to their classes on time. Also, with part of this plan, given the nature of how the existing parking lots on the campus have evolved over time, essentially they've been sort of piecemealed together over a period of time. When the college would acquire a property or a house or a group of houses, we'd build just a little bit more onto this parking lot until it took up the block between Walter, Alexander, and Myrtle, all the way to the former, was it the Albine Street that passed through there previously. Not quite to Prospect, because we still have the houses and everything between the parking lot and Prospect. Another thing that this parking lot can do for us as well, and the improvements that we're proposing to make, is actually to provide some more efficient lighting and more effective lighting with absolute cutoffs at the property lines. And currently we have high pressure sodium lanterns that really just create a lot of glare and don't illuminate the ground plane in a very effective manner. And the other thing we're looking to do is to rejuvenate the parking lot surface itself. It's a asphalt pavement, and in the expansion over Walter Street, we're actually looking to do a porous asphalt pavement. Our vision is to add, currently we have 3 bays starting at Alexander Street and moving north. We have 3 bays of parking. Very simply, what we're looking to do is to overbuild a portion of the Walter Street alignment and add an additional bay to that parking lot. This does a couple things for us because it helps to consolidate both the additional parking to the north, and it keeps all the parking in one place. So rather than students coming in and driving around the 3 bays of the existing Alexander parking lot and then getting out on Walter Street or Myrtle Street or Alexander, they can enter the lot once and stay within the confines of that lot and circulate until they find a space. So that's not only helpful to the student in terms of finding a space faster, it's also helpful to the surrounding community who might be trying to make their way through the campus, either in the morning or the evening when these students are trying to find a place to park. We're also looking with this parking lot to create safer and more clear connectivity between the South Campus and the North Campus. We did a master plan about 1.5 years ago, and one of the recommendations of that master plan was to start to make the north side of campus resemble the south side of campus. So we're very purposeful in terms of bringing as much green space and preserving green space. This was not our initial plan. Initially, we were looking to add this parking lot maybe a little closer to Alexander Boulevard. But after speaking with the city and discussing some of the issues there, it was actually thought better that we would maintain that existing, it's actually a 27-foot right-of-way buffer between Alexander Street and the edge of our parking. And we'd also do the same thing along Myrtle Street, and that's planted very heavily. So we've got a very good sort of buffer around the parking lot, and we would look to add more to that with this project. We're proposing to add probably about an additional 75 trees. Now, given that the campus is already a Class 2 arboretum, we are looking to add native trees. There are probably 10 different varieties among the 75 trees. Trees like Kentucky coffee trees, black locust, ginkgo. We're also looking to do Zelkova and Japanese tree lilacs. So it will be there will be a variety of trees there, but they will also be trees that are appropriate for parking lots. After doing our campus master plan, we understood that we did have some engineering and stormwater issues that we needed to consider and understand before we even started to think about expanding a parking lot on the campus. And so to do that, we engaged Christopher Burke Engineering, and Brian Luke will walk you through just very quickly the stormwater management plan.
All right, thank you, Mike. Good evening. My name is Brian Luke. I'm a project engineer over at Chris Burke Engineering. Been with the company for too long now, about 16 years or so. So we definitely like living and working in Elmhurst. It was great that we got this project. And again, on the civil end, I've been dealing with, again, the parking capacity, trying to maximize it, maintain the mature vegetation that's out there, improve flow, improve the walkability of the sections. But again, as Mike commented, a very important part of this project is also stormwater management. So out there right now that you basically have 3 different sections. As Mike mentioned, this parking lot has evolved and expanded over time. So they each have a little bit of a unique design to them. In our exhibit here, we are covering areas 5, 3, and 1, and we're moving again across Walter Street. What we're looking at doing, as Mike mentioned, is to preserve the vast majority of the existing parking lot that's out there. So we are looking to trim off that outside curb and then build into Walter Street. What that'll allow us to do is to maintain the stormwater that design and capacity that's in sections 5, 3, and 1. And then for our reconfiguration of Walter Street, as we change grades, as we make things ADA compliant, adjust the parking bays, we're going to use porous asphalt for that section. So right now we're at about a 17,000 square feet net increase in pervious. So again, we're looking to maximize everything we can, save every drop on site so that, again, we have enough to definitely cover what we're doing and leave a little bit for future expansions.
Anything else?
And I can come back with questions if needed at the end. Do we have another slide or two?
Yeah, just to talk about the project schedule. Perfect. Brian, thank you so much. We've laid out the our project timeline beginning in May with the staff conference call and basically making the submission for the planned unit development. Last week and today, the public hearings, and hopefully moving forward to the DPC committee on July 7th and the city council on July 20th. Our planned project, the actual construction project, we're looking to begin right after graduation of 2021 on or about May 26th. And complete that by August 13th, 2021. Our current plan is sort of strategically laid out in that if we're only working on the north end of the lot, we can still utilize portions of the south end of the lot. We are realigning curb cuts. We're trying to get the circulation both in and out of the parking lot and in and out of the campus to be more clear. This plan does make Alexander Street our primary gateway thoroughfare, whereas the Alexander or the Walter Street curb cut into Prospect is more of a parking and athletic facility access. So it does help us to kind of clarify and differentiate between some of those circulation patterns. But moving through this, really, we've tried to be very cognizant of the city plans, of our master plans, certainly of our neighbors, in that we are not creating any sort of negative externalities to any of our surrounding neighbors. We truly enjoy the fact that the campus is very much of a public good or almost a public park to our surrounding community. And we really appreciate the fact that the community utilizes our campus for walking, for recreating. They will come to programs on the campus. And it's truly a marvelous relationship that we enjoy with our community. And we want to make sure that that continues, and we want to maintain an open dialogue and certainly listen to any guidance they may offer. So with that, we turn it back to the commission.
Thank you very much. I think we will, Emily, I think I'm going to leave you as the host in case anyone wants to see any more of these slides back again. But our next step is to open this up to commissioners who have questions. So any commissioner have any questions? Commissioner Uditsky.
Yes, I have a question. Just looking through the materials, they indicate that the enrollment at Elmhurst College is 3,500. So 875 parking spaces are required. There are currently over 1,500 parking spaces. So when you say you have a parking problem, is perhaps the code inadequate, or is there another reason? Are more people commuting? You know, what's the parking problem that you're talking about? You know, what's driving that?
So I'm Kurt Ashley. I'm the Vice President for Operations and Technology at the college. I think the biggest contributors to that are 2/3 of our students are commuters, and a lot of their classes line up at similar times. So we get a rush in and a rush out at similar times. I think the 825 number is adequate, during our non-peak times. But when we get a rush, it definitely, I know for myself, if I need to go out on Tuesday, Thursday afternoon around that 1 o'clock hour, I'm pretty much guaranteed not to get a parking spot when I come back to campus. So there's just some peak times that this additional parking would help us address.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioner McCoy, please. And I'm going to ask Emily actually to return the host function to me. Because we need it, because of the problem.
Can you hear me?
Just return that. Just a moment, Susan. Okay. Commissioner McCoy.
Thank you, Chair Rose. I have a couple questions. One, I wondered why you didn't put permeable pavers on this new part of the parking lot, similar to the ones that are behind the dormitory, which is that number 7 on your stormwater retention. That was one. Number 2, did you meet with the neighbors regarding this project? And those were the two questions that I had.
Benefit from having the permeable pavers that are behind West Hall. They are somewhat high maintenance in terms of having to put crushed granite in the joints between those stones every year. We actually did some experimentation in partnership actually with the city last year, just adding a couple parking spaces behind Dinkmeyer Hall. And we utilized porous asphalt. And the percolation rates on the porous asphalt far exceed the percolation rates that we're able to get with the permeable pavers behind West Hall. And also the beauty of the porous asphalt is we're actually able to plow it a little more effectively. And we do have the downfall is you got to vacuum it and do things like that. But it's also got a much lower price tag, which is very attractive to us. And yes, we did meet with the neighbors. We held an online town hall, and that was held on May 27th at 3:00 in the afternoon. Unfortunately, no one from the community did dial in to attend. But we did organize it, advertise it, and execute the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, any other question from any other commissioner? Commissioner Snyder.
Yes, thank you, Chair Rose. Hello. So I'm a big user of Elmhurst College for my kids and whatnot, and I have particular interest in how this new parking is going to be laid out, and sort of a pedestrian free-for-all in that area. So I'm really looking at this plan and looking at how, and I was interested in one of the documents you submitted from Sam Schwartz that gave an overview of the through trips along Walter Street, and it was curious to note that there were 78